She forgot to lock the door. I didn't forget the betrayal. She forgot to lock the door. That's all it took. A soft click when I pushed it. A sound that shouldn't have been there. A sound that told me the universe had finally stopped protecting her. The hallway was dark. The apartment was quiet. Too quiet for a place that used to pulse with our laughter. Too quiet for a home built on promises that were now dust under my shoes. I stood there for a moment, letting my eyes adjust, listening to the faint hum of the ceiling fan. I could smell her perfume, warm, floral, familiar, but tonight it carried something else, a shadow, a weight, a warning. My phone buzzed in my pocket. One message, not from her, from him. She told me she was alone. Why are you texting from her phone? My heart didn't race. It didn't break. It simply slowed. A quiet, deliberate beat. Then another, and another. Like my body understood what my mind had refused to accept for weeks. A lie. No, an entire life of lies. I stepped farther inside, toeing the door shut with the heel of my shoe. The lock clicked behind me, this time from my hand, not hers. The apartment felt colder now, or maybe I did. I took one breath, then another, each one steadier than the last. Then I heard movement in the bedroom, soft, unhurried, like two people who believed they were safe. I almost smiled. They thought the door was locked. They thought I wouldn't come home early. They thought I wouldn't know, but I did. And tonight, I wasn't the one caught in the dark. The bedroom door was cracked open, barely, but enough for a thin line of warm amber light to spill across the hallway floor. Enough to show me silhouettes, two shadows, close, too close. Her laugh reached me first, soft, breathless, the kind she used to give me when she thought I was the only man who mattered. Now it sounded rehearsed, practiced, repurposed. My chest tightened, not with pain, but with understanding. A slow, inevitable settling of a puzzle I'd been trying to ignore. The late-night work calls, the sudden need for privacy, the quick screen flips when I walked into the room, the new perfume she claimed she found on sale, and the way she started kissing me with distance, like her lips were loyal, but her heart had migrated elsewhere. I didn't want to see it, but tonight she'd forgotten the door, and there were some truths too loud to silence. Her voice drifted through the crack again, lower this time, intimate. "Stay a little longer," she whispered, not to me. No hesitation, no guilt, just desire aimed in the wrong direction. My pulse remained steady, unnervingly so. I leaned against the wall, letting the truth settle its claws into me slowly, methodically. Because this wasn't just infidelity, it was choreography. A relationship rebuilt in secret while mine eroded in real time. A double life, crafted behind a locked door she forgot to lock. And him, the man who had the audacity to text me, to warn me, to stake his claim as though this was some twisted competition. My hand slid into my pocket. I felt the folded documents there, the ones I hadn't planned to use tonight, the ones that had arrived this afternoon in an envelope marked private. Not a surprise, not anymore. Just verification of the quiet dread that had stalked me for months. Her betrayal wasn't new. I was just finally ready to meet it face to face. And I would. Not by bursting into the room, not by screaming, not by violence. No. My revenge would be as silent as the unlocked door, and twice as devastating. I didn't step into the bedroom, not yet. That would have given her too much power. My shock, my reaction, my pain laid bare in front of the man who thought he could replace me. No, I needed space, control, silence. So I walked to the kitchen instead. The lights stayed off. The moon spilled through the blinds, silver, cold, sharp. The room looked different tonight, not because anything had changed, but because I had. I saw the coffee mugs she left in the sink, the half-finished glass of wine, the folded blanket on the sofa. Her fingerprints were everywhere, and each one felt like a bruise I hadn't noticed forming. I sat down at the table, placing the envelope in front of me. I hadn't opened it earlier, not fully, just enough to see the header. DNA results. Paternity confirmation. The words had burned through my eyelids all afternoon. I didn't need to see more to understand the trajectory of my future or the collapse of my past. A quiet creak echoed from the bedroom. His footsteps, not hers. Bold, reckless, as if this was his home now. I didn't move. I unfolded the rest of the papers. The final page trembled between my fingers, not from fear, but anticipation. There it was. Probability of paternity, 0%. A sentence that dissolved the last fragile thread of my old life. A sentence she thought she could hide behind locked doors and soft moans whispered to another man. I exhaled. The sound was quiet, controlled, almost serene. Footsteps approached the kitchen, slow, confident. He stopped at the doorway when he saw me sitting there, half in the shadows, the white papers glowing on the table like ghosts of the truth. His mouth opened, then closed again. A flicker of panic, but also shame. Not for what he'd done, no, he was too small for guilt. For being caught. I didn't speak. The silence was louder than any words I could offer. Behind him, she appeared. Hair tousled, shirt half-buttoned, skin flushed with a warmth I hadn't felt from her in months. She froze. Her eyes moved from me to the envelope, then back to me. I watched the moment realization hit her, the moment her world cracked. Not from betrayal, she'd crossed that bridge long ago, but from exposure. The locked door hadn't saved her, and now nothing would. I slid the papers toward her with one finger. No rush, no anger, just gravity. She didn't touch them at first, didn't blink, didn't breathe. Then she stepped forward slowly, each movement stiff, fragile. She picked up the top page and read the first line. Her lips parted, her breath caught, her shoulders collapsed. Where did you—" I raised a hand. She fell silent instantly. I'd never used silence as a weapon before. Now it felt natural. His face paled. "Man, look, it's not—" I didn't look at him. He didn't deserve even that. My eyes stayed on her, watching the guilt drain the color from her face like ink bleeding off ruined paper. "I told you the timing didn't add up," I said quietly, my first words of the night. They hung in the air, heavy, precise, deliberate. She swallowed, hard. It's complicated. Truth usually is," I murmured. Her hands trembled. The documents fluttered like dying wings. "I didn't mean for this to happen," she whispered. "No one ever does," I replied. "Not until it's too late." The man beside her stepped forward, his jaw tight. "Enough. He knows now. Just let her." I stood, slowly, calmly, and for the first time he took a step back. Not because I threatened him, but because I didn't have to. I looked at him just long enough to let him feel it, the weight of everything he'd taken, everything he'd ruined, everything he would never get to keep. Then I said, "The child you thought was mine isn't." His swallow echoed loud in the kitchen. Her eyes filled with something between regret and terror. "But that's not the betrayal that broke us," I continued. "It's that you let me love a lie." She shook her head violently, tears streaking. "I was going to tell you. I just needed time." "You had time," I said. "You ran out of honesty." And that was the truth she could no longer outrun. The apartment had never felt smaller. She clutched the papers against her chest like they were a shield, but they were nothing more than her confession, written in sterile ink. He hovered behind her, silent now, stripped of whatever illusion of dominance he walked in with. His confidence dissolved the moment the truth arrived. I turned away from them and walked to the couch, not in retreat, but in decision. I picked up the small key she thought she'd hidden from me, the one that unlocked her secret phone. I had found it weeks ago, left it where it was, let her dig her own grave with it. I set the key on the coffee table. A soft metallic tap echoed through the room. Her breath hitched. "You went through my things?" "No," I said calmly. "You left them in my home." A simple distinction, a devastating one. I opened the second envelope, this one thicker. Printed screenshots, dates, timestamps, messages dripping with the kind of affection she claimed she no longer knew how to give. Her face turned white. He stepped closer, desperate. "Man, just listen!" "I listened," I said. "To both of you, for months." I placed the stack of printed messages on the table beside the DNA results, a neatly constructed altar of betrayal. Quiet again after they left. A different kind of quiet now. Not built on suspicion, not built on lies, just silence. Real, clean, heavy. I stood in the middle of the living room, staring at the empty space they'd occupied. Her perfume still lingered faintly in the air, warm, floral, familiar, but now it smelled like a ghost with nowhere left to haunt. I picked up the documents from the table, folded them once, twice, placed them in a drawer I would never open again. My hands were steady, my breath even, my future unstuck from hers at last. For months I thought the truth would break me, that betrayal would hollow me out, that losing her would feel like losing a limb. But now, it felt like stepping out of a burning building. The heat was behind me. The door was open. The night air was cold, but clean. I walked to the balcony. The city lights stretched out like distant promises. Empty, maybe, but mine. She had forgotten to lock the door, and because of that, I finally walked through one she never intended me to open. A soft wind brushed my face. I closed my eyes, not in grief, in clarity, in release. When I opened them again, the world felt quiet. And for the first time in a long time, I did too. Some betrayals destroy you, others free you. Tonight, I learned the difference.